So we land there, and he comes off the runway and on the taxi strip. I'm going to pop you out here. I'll be right back. His last words. My flight over to Vietnam in October 1963 was interesting also too. Flew over on a Pan American, beautiful Pan American, stewardess and everything else. Oh man, you know, on the mail run. We stopped at every island from Hawaii to Vietnam. The mail run. And some islands at daylight, you say, there's no place they are going to land this plane down there on an island down there. And then sure enough, you start coming around and coming around. Guam, Wake, Clark. I don't know, some of the islands I don't even know, but it was a mail run. And we stopped. And when they refuel, we had to get off the plane while they refuel the plane, And but on the way over on the Pacific, we were up around 37,000 foot or so. I mean, not bad, nice, not bad. A little bumpy here and there. And then all of a sudden, we hit disturbance and dropped from 37 to 17,000 foot, like a rock. And my first thought was, is that water gonna be warm or cold in the Pacific Ocean? My first thought is it gonna be warm or cold, And then these wings are not going to hold this. This plane was loaded. The mail and all the people on board this boat. This was not a cargo. This was a passenger plane again, and nice stores and everything. And man, and it dropped, and there was a mess in that cabin. Some guys up on top of their seats. They had seatbelts on. They had warning on it. You keep your seat. I kept my seatbelt on the whole time. Just not tight, but do some guys. Nah. This go. We've done this before. Well. And so the pilot came on and said, that was rather severe. We have permission to go and climb the 40,000, 43,000 foot. He said, we'll get smooth out while the waitresses clean things up, And the stewards, it's amazing what they can do. What a mess they had to clean up. And like in minutes, they were all cleaned up. And we continue on making our rail run, dropping all up and down. And that was smooth. That was good. When we landed at Tonsanook, when they opened the doors of that airplane, I thought we landed in the Philadelphia disposal department, sewage department. I started throwing up. It was so overwhelming. It was the smell of that stench. Like going from heaven to hell. It was unbelievable. I thought, can I send this plane back to stage? I'm throwing up my hat. It was absolutely unbelievable. And then when we got, when they came, and I'm supposed to go to Long Bin, Bin Long, I forget which went down to the south. And some guy says, hey, you're black. Here's your new orders. You're going to be the Ben Hoa. So instead of going down to Bin Long, I went to Ben Hoa. And some other guys, they need airframe guys at Ben Hoa. So that's where we went. Boom. Your orders have changed like that. Here's I kept on my whip, but we were going, so I went to Ben Hoa. There we go. When I got there in 1963, we were living in tents. And the thing that you would do would be to go and get soda cans and fill soda cans with sand or stone and put them under your footlocker. So when the water came to the tent, they would not ruin your contents inside your footlockers. And we were also told to stay on the PSP, the perforated steel, because some areas had still not been cleared for mines. Oh. So when you go out there where sandbags were, stay on the inside of the sandbags there. The sandbags at that time were pretty high. They were rather new. And so we pretty much followed that rule. Made a few mistakes, almost paid a price for it. Wet. Very wet. It's wet, hot, and humid. The temperature was like constantly 100 degrees or more, day and night. Almost the whole time I was there, it was that way. Extremely hot and humid. the temperature, your body gradually adjusts to the temperature. And they did say to us it'd probably take about 6 months, because I went there in the fall. I lived in Maple Shade, New Jersey at that time, New Jersey here, and we were heading into our fall months at that time when I left the country here. And so when I got there, it was very hot. It was very hot. When I first got there, we had to work pretty much during late hours. We worked out of a trailer, a generator in the front of the trailer, and all of our equipment was inside the trailer. And we had steps, metal steps on the trailer was parked on the PSP, the perforated steel. And in the front, we had a generator, which we would feed fuel out of 55-gallon drums. And if we were really busy, we would consume a lot of fuel and try and run our airlines for doing work there, and our generator and all. And if we got into the evening hours, early morning, we would open our trailers, both sides would open up. And that way we'd have light there around where we were working. We also had drop lights. And I had to be careful with the wet weather and all, and electric cords out there. That was kind of, but I remember our trailer had an open circuit somewhere in it. And the normal metal steps going down onto the metal. If working there, we knew you could never hold on to the handle. You jump onto the handle or jump off it. But don't be on the PSP and you still have wet boots or wet shoes and touch that. You would zapped. And we searched and could not find that open circuit, what was causing that, And it's a miracle it didn't go and blow the thing up with a 55-gallon gas drums there and feeding. And so when we would hear the generator start spitting and sputtering, we know it was time to shut it down and go over and take the line and put it into another tank, 55-gallon drum. And then one of the mechanics came over to figure out a way to go and change things around. Somehow he did something, I don't know what it was, but we get longer running time from when we need it, okay? Without it spitting, sputtering, dying out. And always when you go out of the trailer, jump. When you go in, jump. never hold the railing, And anybody knew that would come didn't know that they could zap just like that, New
guy.
Yeah, new guy, yeah. From good to horrible. And unedible sometimes. I mean, C-rations sometimes were really a gift. I mean, they were wonderful, especially one with peanut butter crackers and the fruit cups there. They were wonderful. They were just a delight. Our mess hall before they built a new one. There was not much refrigeration there. They had generators that were running some refrigeration, but a lot of our food was maintained in Connex containers. And I would occasionally run shotgun run or guard run. Be three of us go to Saigon or Cholan is where the ice plant was. And we go down with a 10-wheeler and get a load of ice. We come back up a couple tons of ice or so. 300-pound kegs. When we go and get the load of ice, we would go ahead of everybody else. We had right away because of threat of being shot. So all the bicycle riders and all there from Vietnam who were there with their bicycles getting ready to pick up big kegs of ice and these big wheels on the front of the bicycle. And the carriage would be hard to pedal it. And they'd be pedaling maybe 300 pounds, 600 pounds, whatever they could load in those boxes in front of their cars there. We would go in front of them. That was not received very well. And so we would back in and and we would take out a healthy load. We're taking out tonnage. And then just mau and get out of town. And get back, and the trip was very interesting because we'd pass all the checkpoints. Being Army, we could ride the Vietnamese checkpoints. We had right away. And there'd be a lot of other traffic, buses, everything else heading past ox carts, all kinds of things. So, but we get back, and getting off the main road, getting back into Bien Hoa was very tricky, because that was really an ox cart road. And some of the bridges there were very narrow, and we were putting a lot of weight going across those bridges there. And most are just one narrow, very narrow, just about, your mirror is just about clearing the bridge. We're going across them there. We get back to our airbase, so, and then we would drive down and unload the ice into our connexes there. That was our refrigeration. That was also what they put in cool weight also too, for cooling it down in big, probably like 5-gallon or 10-gallon containers there, stainless steel ones. And the interesting thing, when I first got there, there was like 5-man crew in the 573rd there doing airframe repair. Because we had just gotten rid of the 21s, the old flying bananas, and we were wonderful because all these brand new 26 new Hueys come in. This was a gift from heaven. The flying bananas, they were a nightmare. I mean, I mean, they were a nightmare, but did the job. And you're never getting an old flying banana to H21, but not everything secure in your pockets. The vibration was so bad, anything in your pockets would vibrate right out and go out the door, because the doors were not closed. You always have a monkey strap on or harness on so that you would not go out the door. So they were phased out, and we were all happy to see them go. New Hueys come in, and we thought this is a home run. It was kind of easy for the first maybe days or weeks. It was wonderful. And then we started having failures. We were starting to lose some Hueys and crews. And then it started to, what's going wrong here? And it was tail boom separation from the body, from the cab. And all hands on deck. And also at the same time too, we had just figured out a way to hoist, get the Army rotating wrecker, and go and get 2 tents, connect them in the middle, put posts out, 6 foot high or so in the ground, secure, connect the 2 tents together, fold the flaps up. We had some air coming through out of the weather, out of the rain, and out of the sun. Working the sun was unbelievable. You could not put a wrench or a tool down. Once the sun hit that, it would heat up, and if you picked it up, your hands were burnt. You had to keep them covered or work on the shady side, so we keep turning the Hueys around. So we go into use the pony wheels, and just rotate around and stay in the shade as much as possible. And so this problem that came along, that what's going on here? What is causing tail boom separation? And we found that we were carrying heavy loads with ammo, with all the passengers, and they were starting to put rockets on them. 30 cal on the door for the crew and the door gunner there, and all the ammunition was adding a lot of weight. And we found that the connection, there's only, I forget now, there was 6 bolts, I think right now there's 6 or 12 bolts, very high strength bolts, not much bigger than your pen, okay, were what secured the body and the tail rotor drive shaft to the cab. And we were finding that these little fine cracks were starting to form around where these bolts were. And because of the vibration of the tail rotor, the purpose of the tail rotor is to stop the helicopter from rotating like a egg beater. And so with that constant force there, it caused some cracking up around those bolts there. And we were trying to get a field repair without going to the main terminal in Tatsanuk. I may not be correct in saying that. Everybody was all hands on deck because we had so many came in at one time, like a shipload came in with all these Hueys. We were not the only company that got 26 Huey helicopters. Well, a lot of the other companies also got new helicopters also too, all the Hueys. And these were the B models. But most were B models, not the D models yet. They were later. They were bigger. And so anyway, they found out that there was a structural defect for all the work it was doing now in the military and not for civilian, which is just picking up passengers and going hopping around. Okay, this is a whole different operation here. And so when they found that out, Bell sent over a crew. We were starting to do some repair, but we could not do them as quickly as they could do it. So Bell sent crews over, and they started doing the repair where they modified. They made those connections firmer, more of a very solid connection there. Okay, and their crews, being with all their equipment, they were very efficient, and did a good job. Maybe a little different than what we would have done, but it was enough to go and get them back into operation safely and stop that problem. Okay. I did have one experience there with one repair. There was a very big op. And our main job was field there was to get these choppers repaired in a safe way to get back into use, because they were in getting heavy use. And uh, the the crew chiefs, good crew chiefs, were worth their weight in gold. To know those aircraft inside and out. And I know crew chiefs from B-52s. They knew them inside and out. Very important. A good crew chief. Your life can depend on that crew chief. Whether you're a captain or pilot, I don't care your rank. A good crew chief is. Anyway, there was a big operation coming on, and they were going to be approximately 100 Hueys involved in this. And our commander wanted 100%. He went all 26 in the air. And now when you're doing field maintenance, your objective is to keep the aircraft safe and flyable. And sometimes a piece of duct tape, heavy aviation tape, would solve the problem, and you could safely fly it and get it back, and we do the right repair. And so when they went this big operation for over 100, a major event was taking place. And we had pretty much all our 26 ready to go. And as I was completing up a repair on one of these planes that was going to fly in the morning or that night, whichever way it was going to be, I'm not sure, I noticed, and the plane had been inspected and ready to go. And I thought, before I put the inspection covers back on, I'm going to take one more look. I always believe in working on the safe side. Don't take 100 tools out to do a 10 tool job. If you only need 2 tools, take 2 tools. Don't take 3. Count your tools before you go. Count them when you bring back. No pluses, no minuses. And so anyway, before I put the inspection covers back on, I went inside with a drop cord light and looking around. And up in this top right-hand corner, I noticed another crack. The inspector missed, and we missed. And I said, would I fly in this or would I not fly in this? And I said, no, I would not fly in this. I would not go up on a test inspection in this plane with that crack. And wherever you see a little small rivet, if you see a little bit of gray around that primer paint there, that zinc chromate or so, that greenish yellow paint or so, if you saw that, that's a warning sign. There's movement in the skin of that aircraft. There's movement there. Why? And so, and where that crack was by one of the major bolts for connecting the tail boom to the cab of the aircraft. And so the logbook always stays with the aircraft. This plane had been cleared. I think it would just matter of closing up my inspection plate and being out of there. But I had to take that one last look. I just always did that. I still do that. And so I got the logbook and red-X'd it. And I took the logbook and walked over to our head shed there, which was just a little hut, is all it really was, a little screened hut there. And saw the tech who just signed off that was ready to go. And I said, Gene, we got a problem here. And his response, what are you doing with the logbook of the aircraft? That's because it's not going to go anyplace until it's fixed. Whoa. The old man wants everything in the air tomorrow morning. I just signed off on that. I said, I know you did. And he was a spec 5 or 6, where he was 6, 7, where I'm only a spec 4. And I said, I'm not going to fly it. I said, if you want to, you go ahead, but I'm not going to test flight that plane. I put the red X there. I signed it. I'm going to stand by what I just did. It does not belong in the air. It is not safe. And it may have been the old man's plane. I mean, the commanding officer's plane. It may have been. I'm not positive. It may have been. And he says, let's go take a look. The logbook never leaves the aircraft. I said, you're right. But I said, somebody would come and pull that out while I'm here, whatever, but still, my red X is in that book. And you had a regular lead pencil and also a red pencil there, to go and, when you put a red X there, that was, or any red check was, you got to go close and repair it right. And then sign off after it's done. And he went over, he said, I missed it, you're right. But the logbook never leaves the aircraft. I said, yeah. And he said, the old man's not, the commander's not going to like this. I said, yeah, but it does not belong in the air. It does not belong in the air. We don't need to use 4 men or 8 men. We don't need to do that, or me or anybody else. So it was pulled out. And now that may have affected his going up in rank, because he was coming up for full bird colonel or I don't know, general. I don't know. I don't know all this detail. My job was repair aircraft and do it right. The Air Force was on our air base there at the Mall Air Base. We had Navy there, Air Force. There were a few Australians, I believe, but they were maybe out of Tonsanook or so, but were there sometimes also too. Some Marines, so maybe the occasional Coast Guard, but they came in, I think, a little later than in a bigger way when I was there. Bien Hoa was about maybe 20 miles, if I understand, maybe about 20 miles like northeast of Saigon. It was not a long flight, and it was a very deadly flight. We lost a number of men before November 1st of 1964. We would no sooner repair their aircraft and get them in the air, and they'd be going to Tonsanook down towards Saigon, which is like right near Saigon there, okay? And we give them an adios, get them in the air, and be back in moments, land directly in front of us, blow dust and dirt all over us. What's wrong with these nutcases, And we got sheet metal we're working on, We're still working out the tents there, Very dangerous thing to do. And on more than one occasion, they were with a casualty. And that was an emergency landing. And they would come and take care of those men in the most beautiful way possible. And there was no doubt with the amount of work that we had to now go and do on those choppers. We knew that, they bought the farm right there in moments after they took off. That they would take off, going down off the end of the runway there, going towards Tonsanook or Saigon there, okay? We lost a number of men there and crews. There was ground fire coming up off the river there somewhere, constant ground fire, somewhere around there, ground fire, and they would wait. They were very smart. These were not dummies on the ground. And they'd wait till they were passing over and shoot straight up and things like that. Hard to recognize when you're flying over like that. Hard to recognize in daylight or nighttime. There's always a flash. You can see if somebody shoots at you. I've flew door gunner enough times to know that once you take off, your eyes you're scanning everything. You're looking for a flash or a bang. If around hits the plane, you feel that bang, and everybody's up looking around. What got hit? And where's the damage show? Depending how serious it was beyond our. Before we got a new hangar built there, we'd do the best as we could do inside our tents there, and outside, and sometimes you might have a chopper inside there maybe for months. Some would come and make 20, 30 holes in them. And you have to go repair every hole. You can't simply still a couple holes there. It was just something minor. And one of the first minor things when I first got there, when the Hueys were brand new, as the door gunners were firing, the empty shells were hitting the tail, the back fins there, and were punching through the skin because the skin was too thin. What we'd do for recovery, we'd put heavy aviation duct tape over that to stop the air from getting there and stopping further failure. And that would block it until we got it back in. And we maybe sometimes made it fly for a couple of days like that until we get them in to get them repaired. And then we take the tape off and cut everything out. And we took a big patch, we took a small patch. But then we found the solution was putting this heavier piece of aluminum across there, not real heavy, across the whole fin right there, okay? Just like that. And that would stop the shells from ricochet off and not damage anything else. And so you were constantly learning because now we're still in combat there, and what we can do to prevent further damage and save lives.
So you're running into things that you haven't really run into before, and you had to figure out what to do.
Yes, yeah.
Become very inventive.
Yes, oh yeah. A lot of things as we go along is what we're learning. What can we do, and using a heavier patch, Now, one thing you learn real quickly is when you work with both magnesium, which is very light, but very flammable. And some men cannot work around magnesium without breaking out in rashes and so forth and affects their skin. When you would go and put an aluminum patch on a part of the aircraft that was made with magnesium, you have to insulate between the two. Can you imagine what we used to insulate? And now we're going to take this patch and we're going to put it against this aluminum piece here. We use a cellophane wrapper off of cigarette packs. That's what we used. It was light. And that part there, and now we would zinc chromate also too around there. And we put that plastic there and then put your other metal, your aluminum piece there, and then rivet it together. If we could use pop rivets, which we didn't use too much, we usually solid rivets where you need somebody bucking, somebody driving the rivet gun, somebody bucking the backside. It was close enough, you might be able to do it yourself. Not easy because it's so hard. In all aircraft, there's so many little corners and so many little things in your way and all. How much space you have. The white part of the tail boom was easy. The narrow part was getting in there with a bucking bar and trying to make this thing safe and sound before they put the juice back to it, take it back up in the air there, it was a constant challenge. And one of the things I remember, it was so disturbing, okay, when casualties came back in. A lot of times the Agent Orange would be sprayed on the bottom of the aircraft. We'd use your shirts to wipe it off. So we can go a clear bond with making our patches and things, stuff like that. We just use our shirt we had there. We didn't have a lot of water and sanitation facilities close by. We were out there in this big airfield doing maintenance here, okay? And I'm trying to think how to describe this now. When you opened up, there's inspection plates all over an aircraft. Top, bottom, all over. Especially on the bottom. And a lot of times when they come back with casualties, the fire truck would come over and try and help to go and clear out what was there. I'll say residue from injuries. Let me put it that way, okay? I mean, I don't, okay? Not pleasant. And so the fire truck would come over and Elwood. Yeah, that's an interesting story. Elwood would come over to the fire truck and help us out and do a light spray. And we would try to get the inspection plates out, and we didn't want them spraying too much water inside because of other vital parts of the aircraft there, okay? But an awful lot of times when we take these inspection plates down, which might be, they can be any size. Size that paper here, or bigger. take all the screws out, and take the inspection plate down. And a lot of times, as you're doing, body fluids will come out and wash onto us and store shallows, depending what, because sometimes these were landing in marshes and other wet spots and so forth, and that debris would also be inside the aircraft and getting inside there. And that was really, sickening. I'll put it that way, But do a lot of body fluids and stuff like that. On November 22nd of 1963, I had just gotten one of my first paychecks. And I think it was $47 or $67 for the month. Anyway, and I hid her little PX over in the Air Force Park there. There's a little building there, a frame building, little PX there. And I'd been over there once or twice. I didn't much money right at that time, but and one thing they had there was this JVC Victor 20 band or 30 band radio, all kinds of bands on, and I always wanted one of them. And the fellow with this little PX there, just a little building like a shed. He said, if you're interested, we've had that for a while. He said, it's got new batteries in it. He said, I won't charge you for the batteries, but, and he said, also you're very reasonable. Nobody's interested in that. I said, I'm very interested, And I $15, $20, I mean, like, United States are like $100, $79 for you. RCA Victor. This is the RCA Victor knockoff in Japan and China. JC Victor. Just like RCA United States, exact same thing, but it's JC Victor. I mean, it's for real, And my wife worked for RCA before we got married. But anyway, I bought this radio. And with battery, and he said, now look, he said, if you can get a piece of aluminum foil out of the kitchen over there, the mess hall, you'll get better reception. And it had 2 antennas over the mess hall, and they give me this piece of aluminum foil, and I got the antennas up like this, And I'm fooling around with it, and I get this, and this is the 22nd of November, 1963. This is Radio Malaysia. A lady announced, this is Radio Malaysia. The President of the United States has just been assassinated. I thought, holy mackerel. Now, I'm off duty for a few hours there, or whatever, I'm just in my tent there. This is, holy mackerel. And nothing, over there, anything's possible. They lie. So, people, that's Radio Malaysia, And so I fooled around and went back. This is Radio Malaysia again. The President of the United States has just been assassinated. Just like that, has been assassinated. I thought, holy mackerel. And the rest of the men, the crew were working. I think I had guard duty or something the night before. But I was in a couple hours free. And so I didn't have a bicycle yet. So I walked a couple miles down to my duty station on this. Airbases are big. You just don't go walk around. And so I go out to my duty station, and my commander was Captain Ryan. He was in charge of the 573rd Airframe Repair Field Recovery. And I said, Captain Ryan, I just bought a multi-band radio, and they're saying President Kennedy was just assassinated in Texas. Where did you hear this? I said, I just bought this radio out of PX. I said, and it's a woman announcer saying the President of the United States has just been assassinated in Texas. He says, Black, you stay right here. You don't talk to anyone. You stay right here in this hut. You stay and keep your mouth shut. And he deed me mouse in his Jeep. And he's out over, and going for a little bit. And he comes back, he said, you were right. Oh, yeah. He said, you were right. He said that the President of the United States was just assassinated in Texas. And with that, something I can feel right now, I will never remember, as this word started to spread out around the Bien Hoa Airbase with all the Air Force planes there, not too many jets there, I won't go into detail, all the noise on a big airbase, trucks and all this stuff, it just kept getting quieter and quieter and quieter. We're like, you could hear a pin drop. I've never forgotten that. And air bases are very noisy. All those big engines, all this stuff. I mean, they were a lot of noise and all the work going on. It went absolutely silent. And it was like that for maybe a couple hours. Maybe until I would say, and we just stopped. Everything just stopped. We didn't do nothing. We were, this is our commander in chief, and we're in Vietnam. People here don't like us. The Vietnamese loved us, yes, but the other ones around here, the Chinese, did not like us. I mean, that really knocked our socks off. What's going to happen to us? I mean, here we are, halfway around the world. And so after a while, and later in the day, things started, but it was still a very quiet day and a very quiet night. Nobody really knew what to say. Our commander-in-chief, our president, was just assassinated. And that knocked our socks off, unbelievably. And so anyway, then next day we're back in gear, and that was in '63, November 22nd of '63. Never forgot that. I'll go back to November the 1st of 1964. We had just gotten a new hangar built. And we knew it was not for the Hueys. Big open doors. We knew, and we could put 2 Hueys, or something, I mean 3 in one opening, okay, and get out of the rain, and but the only thing we could not get out of was the bugs. Now and this hangar came in, it was mostly made of all mahogany. And this, as we were working on the Hueys there in tents there, they start stacking up all these big beams. I mean, and they come on all these old rickety trucks, and these beams were maybe 20, 30 foot long. Big solid, maybe 24, 36-inch beams. Mahogany. What, are they going to make boats here? And then I remember the one bigger than the Jeep, the 3/4 ton. We see them coming across the dirt where we worked there and all, the dust all, and we counted 45 Vietnamese get off of a 3/4 Army truck. I'm not kidding you. I'm telling you, we counted them 40, and they were hanging on, but it was a long ride from the entrance of the base, and they had to be cleared to come on the base. I mean, they just go and here's this old Army 3/4 truck, with a top off, and they had some tools with them too, and their lunch cans. But they're smaller; they're half our size, and then another one comes in with some more tools. Straight, I don't know what you call them, buck saws, the one with 2 handles, and they start cutting these big mahogany beams down into what they needed. And their Filipino man there, who was in charge of building this hangar, they cut all these beams into whatever size they need, then cover with the galvanized steel. What they did, no ladders. They made their own ladders. And such basic tools, no power tools. Everything was hand drilled. And to put a Chinook into a hangar, you need some space. And when they were all done, and I forget how many bays there were 6, 8 bays there. This is a pretty good sized hangar. And when they were done building it, there was hardly anything left. If we were building that, we would need 100 containers all the way to waste. From the concrete that they mixed by hand for the base, it's unbelievable what they did. So we started working 2 shifts. 6 at night till 6 in the morning. 6 in the morning till 6 at night. But the day shift, they could start working through the heat of the day, but it was brutal. that worked at 11 o'clock to 1:30 or so when that sun was at its peak. I mean, it was still brutal. And the big fans, I mean, and it takes 6 months for your body to adjust. If you came out in cold weather, minimum 6 months. And then once your blood thins out, then it's a little easier work there. So anyway, this big hangar there, at midnight, we'd shut off the generator, and then it would all go dark. And now, and pretty much all around there was all like now black, except for the Air Force was working some too, but it was pretty dark. I mean, once you shut that generator down. But what we did before we go for chow or breakfast at midnight, we'd take a case of bug spray, use a screwdriver, punch holes in the spray can, and just throw them on the floor, and just fog the whole hangar. And then go get chow. And we maybe half hour, 45 minutes, hours looking back, and we start the generator up and put the lights on. And lights out there where it's pitch dark on a big airbase are like a magnet for every bug in creation. And somehow we managed to get these great big brooms. They were every bit maybe 6 to 8 foot wide, because hangars are big. And matter of fact, the brooms had supports on them, they were so big, okay? And we'd start brushing the bugs out every night. After around 1 o'clock, we'd maybe fill up a couple 55-gallon drums, with the tops cut out, with bugs. Every stinking night. I mean, every stinking night. And the worst was, every once in a while, the bats would come in flying. Oh, the bats were always coming in there after bugs. They thought that was like heaven. That was like a diner. I mean, they were eating, okay? And they were flying over there, but they didn't bother us. But every once in a while, a bat would be, he would get caught on the antenna of a Huey. The antennas come out the back of the Huey, okay? And they squealing away, and they're flying all around. So we go and we take the arm of the Huey and we pull it down. And the guys get a broom and pull the antenna down. And as the bat would start sliding down the antenna, just as he let it go, and he'd fly off out the back of the hangar. If they come back or not, I don't know. But they can still fly, even though, So on November the 6th, 1964, now I should come home on November 1st of 1964. My year is completed, okay? The Schnooks we're still got Hueys there. We still have 26 Hueys to maintain. A lot of our men have started going home. They've been there for 12 months. You're not supposed to be there more than 13 months. Some kind of rule between the United States and Vietnam, no military man be there more than 13 months. So on November 1st, 1960, my day to go home. My calendar was my tablet. I had for a whole year, every time I would, my tablet, the back of my tablet was my calendar every day. I marked off, so I knew where I was. Because you're just working on aircraft 7 days a week, you lose all track of time. So every day, every night, I marked down, what date it was. And I said, sorry, well, your replacement's not here yet. Yeah, we need to have 6 guys. We're only down to like 4 guys now, And well, you're going to be, as soon as your replacement comes in, you're going home. And one fellow, picture right back here, Mel Shoot, he came home on November the 1st, 1964. And on his way home, and also on November 1st, 1964, I had guard duty that night. I worked my 12-hour day shift, got done at 6 o'clock at night, and then got showered, got cleaned up, and started guard duty at 8 o'clock. I would pull a 4. I'd rather do a 4 rather than 2 2s. I always liked 4. It gives you more rest before you go back to work the next morning, okay? And so I cleaned up out there, and I always got to the motor pool, which was like on the same direction going down towards Saigon. You learn night vision, stay out of the light. And in the back of the 3/4 truck would drop us off at our guard posts. The campers would be down and keep in the dark, so you have good vision. And it's amazing how much you can see when you learn how to use night vision, okay? So anyway, I love going down the motor pool. I'd be the only one there. The only thing, like, when the rats would run around the rail out there, they fall and hit the truck and squeal all the time. I hate that, okay? But we're all used to that after a while, okay? but at a place where there are a lot of shadows, and if the moon would be out or so, I mean, and I could stay and guard and be aware of what's going on around. Okay, and you're very tired of being working for 12 hours in the hot sun all day long, even though you're now in a hangar. Okay, still you're very tired, and it was tough to keep awake. But your life depended on it, so you do what you had to do. So I did my 4 hours there, and we would run this stone cobbled road or so down to where the motor pool was, and these trucks were on this day repair and so forth, and then we drop off other men, other posts around the base there. Okay, so the Vietnamese also had theirs out there, also protecting also too, supposedly. Now, before I got on that truck at 8 o'clock on November the 1st, 1964, there were 4 or 5 of us. We have our weapons and our ammunition. You only had that when you were going on guard duty. Otherwise, they were locked up. We had very armaments. We had an armored, and you had a chip to put in there for your weapon that was off that rack there. Your weapon's not there. Your number was there. And so 4 or 5 of us, and we're out there, and we're looking across the runways there, waiting for the officer today, the OD, to come in and take us out to our position over the guard with him. And we noticed we're looking out across towards the north, across the runways, and this Vietnam guard with his motorbike, his can, his German Shepherd service dog, should have made a left-hand turn going down towards Saigon. Now this guy is in a spiffy uniform. He is an officer. He wasn't all the regular Vietnamese. They were not cared for well. Their outfits were really in bad shape, and they were but they were doing the job. This soldier, he goes to the right. We want to eliminate him, but no one was there to give us authority. His post is down here to the left, and he's going to the east. Now I'm looking directly north. He's going to the east. He should be going to the west. And we watch him. He's counting. He's counting footsies. Look at this guy. He's putting it off. He's counting steps. We were trained how to do that. We know how to do it too. He's counting it off. That's nailing. Yeah. You want to go to Leavenworth? And the OD was still not there, and so anyway, he got a free pass. Now his walk was a long walk. Runways are not small. Airbases are not small. He had a long walk. Then the OD come in, and he's still counting paces going down. And he's going down pairs where all our old B-26 or where they were, the twin engines they could carry a heavy load. The red line, he's going straight down past. I mean, not going the red line, he's still going down there, and we DD him out to go to our post to guard duty. All right, so we get our post, we do our guard duty. I come back in around midnight. When my replacement came in at midnight, after midnight or so, the truck, one hops out, I hop in. Back of the truck. Sergeant Lambert, so Black, I'm changing the location. I'm changing your location for your living quarters. You're going over to Hut 22. You're not going to be in 19 anymore. Sarge, look. I ain't moving. I might be here a couple of days. I'm going home, yo. And he says, Black, I want you in 22. When I went the engine guys, I want them all in one hut. When I went all the airframe guys, I would have come in and not run around a compound, find out what hut you're in. I would come in and get you where I need you. It bit him behind something terrible.
I know what happened.
It was a wise thing for him, but terrible for our whole company. So anyway, now that's, and so I said, I'm not going to move, Sarge. I ain't moving. Whoa. Never tell a sergeant with a load of stripes that you're not. My stuff was moved out of that hut with about, and not the way I would have moved it. and that time I had a wooden wall locker. And these were new huts they just got done building for us. like camping huts. I mean, really nice. Screens, storm door. I mean, really nice. I mean, the water. So anyway, my stuff gets moved over, nothing flat in this new hut, and I'm in 22. Now, going back by my guard duty, I was in hut 19. The guard truck pulled right here. I just had to get and walk in, and there's my bunk right there. New bunk. I mean, new hut. Be right there. But in the meantime, all my stuff, Sergeant Lambert moved me over to this other hut over there. Okay, into 22. Which meant I had to go and walk through the compound, get over to 22 with the rest of the airframe repair guys. Okay. As I'm starting to walk there, I'm looking down in the same direction where that Vietnamese officer and his motorbike, his lunch can, and his dog were walking. And this is right around maybe 12:30, maybe 20 minutes to 1 on the 1st of November. Okay, right after payday. It's just the day before there. Boom! I thought, oh man, that's right where the 500-pounder bombs are. On those two big engine. Those planes carried a triple load. I mean, what a load they carried. Okay, holy mackerel! Must have been a malfunction. Boom! 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 And then all of a sudden, everything just broke loose. And I said, we're being hit. You can't go, and they were just raking us with mortar rounds. We didn't know what they were at the time. And then stuff starts blowing up all over the place. And so I ran around through the compound, beating on the door. I'm get up, we're being hit. Get up, we're being hit. Get up, we're being hit. I'm beating these doors. They were sheet metal doors. The engine guys, with O'Keefe and Barrow, just got done doing a major repair for us. Okay. They've been drinking a little bit. I couldn't get them up. Come on, you gotta get up. Gotta get out. We're being hit. Hit the sandbags, the bunkers. But we were in a safe area. Our sandbag bunkers were now very low. We were in a safe area. Nobody was bothering us for almost a year. And so I continued running around, and then I jumped back in a bunker, sandbag bunker there, right up near where I got the truck, near our major gate there. And there's a couple other guys there too. And the sergeant says, I forget it was Vasquez or Lambert, somebody was running around and saying, look, if it sounds like it's going to land it, jump out. Lay flat on the ground. Get outside the and just get up and lay out. Because we should have had these up higher. We didn't have any defense from the air. We're wide open. And next, here is a man alongside of me I never saw on the base before. He's a black man, brand new white stateside t-shirt on, and new fatigues, and a weapon with a clip in it. And he said, I just got here a couple hours, 6 hours ago. He said, they said this was a safe base. My first, where did you get a weapon and a clip just coming here 6 hours? You don't come on a base and say, here's your weapon and here's a clip. That didn't happen. You might be 2 or 3 days of processing before you got, before you got a clip to go get a weapon assigned to you. And so with that, here comes a VHC climbing over the fence, which we had closed off. He's climbing over the fence with his weapon and has bayoneted it. Now, we're the safe people. We're the Americans. We're here to help you. And we're thinking he's friendly. And we're thinking, and he's trying, and we got sandbag. He's over there by the generations. He has nothing over there. I mean, he just, he's wide open. And so this fellow alongside me stands up and goes, bang. I can never, his rifle butt was right by my left eye. And the man with the bayonet, he was done. He was eliminated. And I never saw this man again, and neither the rest of us. Now, you don't have to believe in an angel. I do. I do. We thought this man was friendly, just like the other one we thought, was not friendly. This one was, he had his bayonet, and, we were trained how to use a bayonet in the Army. And Fort Dix showed us how to use that, Well, he was probably trained also, too. He didn't have ammunition. We were sitting ducks. But this one black man, I remember his eyes were like, he says, I was told this is a safe area. I mean, this is Bien Hoa is a safe place to be. Where do you get the M14 and a clip of ammunition? No, I mean, and I can say, and when he fired, the flash was right by my eye when he fired this plane, this weapon. Now we're for repairing aircraft, not really, other regular plates, Anyway, and so then one of the crew chiefs pulls up with a box truck and opens the gate. He said, "We're going down to get the gunships out." They were the ones that were heavily armed with 30 calibers in the door and rocket pods on each side. There was the Eagles, that big Eagle in the front. All our planes had Eagles in front. 118th Aviation Company had Eagles, and that was our logo. Big Eagle, paint right in the front of the electronics door there. Anyway, get in the box truck here and lay flat. We're going down and see if we get the gunships out. Now, in the meantime, now a Goonie bird gets up in the air from the C-47 from the Air Force, and they're throwing out parachute flares. Now we're having rainstorm now, monsoon. We're having rainstorm, thunder and lightning, and then we got clearing, and the moon's out, and now we got thunder and the Goonie bird flying around there, throwing out these big parachute flares. And he's, I don't know, a couple 1,000 foot up or so, and the clouds were low. And so anyway, and so now we're in a box truck, and we got to drive down through the base here to get out onto the tarmac to get out to where the gunships were parked. They were parked in a long line, what we thought was a safe area away from the main runway there. They had their own landing takeoff place there. Okay, so we get down there, and he said, "Look, that's the crew chief. Mine was Devine or Devon, I forget what his name was. Good guy. I mean, he had his act together. He said, "Look, I'm going to arm the rock." I said, "Look," and he said, "You get the strap off the not the wings, the rotors. Okay, you get the strap off." And I knew what to do. I said, "I know what to do." So on each rotor up there, the blade there with the hook, and you hook up that strap there and that rod and hold that so that the wind could not damage that while they were parked. Get that and wrap it up and put it and store it. Devine's running around. The pilots are in now. They're starting. They give them a heads up. We're clear. The rotors start rotating. Get the engines fired up. And Devine said, "You're going to the left-hand door. I'm taking the right-hand door right here. And monkey strap up. Make sure you're secure there. Okay." And they say, "Have you ever fired one of these 30 calibers?" I said, "No, I never fired one of these." He said, "Now look," he said, "don't aim up and don't blame down. So hit the Huey, don't hit the skids or hit the rotor blades." Like I said, "No, that I repaired these. I'm not going to do that. I know that much." Well, here's your safety right here. This is a twin thing. Use 2 thumbs this one right here. Okay. Never fired. No. Okay. And you're sitting on top of all this ammunition. Okay. And so now we're like maybe 1:30 in the morning. I'm not sure my time, but we're getting all this together and getting a plan together. And all these now guys are piling out and they're all starting up 10 Hueys. And we're on a straight line, and PSP, and they were, we're safe. We're not in the minefield, okay? And so we take off, and we're taking off right down across the most deadly part of the runway by the Mekong River was out there, that river out there, and heading towards Saigon. And now, and we're also, as we try to get some height, they clear all the trees that were on one part that had already been blown up by the mortar rounds there. On the way down to get to the planes, one of the flares burnt the parachute, and the flare came down as on a JP4 tanker burning. We say, they're talking about nothing left of us. This thing is going to blow us sky high. But the policy was there, if you took 100 gallons out of that tanker, you put 100 gallons back in. Those tankers were always full, ready for a flight line.
Fumes.
No fumes. Here's an Air Force guy with his that time they had like a cowboy hat on, okay? He's climbing up there to go and with the pole to get the burning flare off the side of the tank truck. He got some kind of special award for that, if I understand correctly. Okay, but I thought, like, man, what he just saved there. What he just saved there by doing that. And the guys were there with fire. In the meantime, we're still on the floor watching the back door of this truck going down to, now we're in the planes. Now we're in the air. So much happening, And so as we're going down, get near the river, red tracer rounds start coming up at us. And now the protocol was, and when you fly gunner, I've flown before, I know what to do. Okay, you have a helmet on, you have a button right here. Sir, request permission to return fire. There was one or two choppers in front of me, and the red tracers are coming up, and whoa, I'm going to buy the farm right here. I did not request permission. I'll tell you the honest truth. I did not request permission to return fire. And my first general, which I learned, my first general order is to take charge of this property and all government property in view. That's my defense to this day. My first general is to take charge of this property and all government property in view. I live by that right now. So what I did, I took the safeties off. Now, I'm a little angry also too, because a lot of my friends already died out here in the same spot. It was a hot spot. We weren't allowed to fire there because of friendly forces down there. Well, right now at 1 o'clock in the morning, on the 1st of November here, 1964, they're not very friendly. And so I opened up. I mean, I'll be honest, out of rage and anger from all my buddies that we had to go and put in a coffin and do a flag salute and all that stuff. This is for you, my friends. And I opened up. And we sat on top of the ammunition. And Devone was a very good crew chief. He also loaded tracer rounds in his ammo. I'm sitting in this belt ammunition. And so I don't know how, there were a lot of fellows, maybe every 5th, 6th, 10th, whatever what to do. I don't know, but it gave me enough. Now they have a laser beam, it shines out, you nail them dead flat, okay? We had to follow the old method, okay? And so with that, I opened up, and every piece of ammunition I was sitting on, I used. And I know we got by safely. Now there's still 7 or 8 more behind us. Yeah, I was in the second or third. Best man out, we all got the tonstic with no damage, if I understand correctly. But there was a problem. Black, we won't put you in this hut right here. Don't you talk to anyone. This is down Tonsinook. Don't you talk, you stay right here. We'll come back. An empty hut, nobody there, just springs. I didn't spring. Matter of fact, I fell asleep. I was so tired. I worked all day on this, and I don't think, but I did not request permission to return fire. And so towards morning, or like maybe now it's starting to make it a little later, so towards morning, they come back there and they said, Black, okay, let's go. We're going back to base. Got a lot of damage up there. We want to get the gunships back up there. The plane went back to Bien Hoa. We flew back in there. I could not believe what I saw. Oh, I could not believe it. This day, I could not believe what I saw. Absolutely pure, absolutely devastated. What they did to our living area was unbelievable. And something just got a new cafeteria, just got a new mess hall, and new huts there. The one thing that knocked my socks off in Hut 19, which was right next to our meeting room there where we showed movies all, Henry the cook took my spot in that hut. He was living in my bunk that I was living just a few weeks or months or so before Governor Lippert moved me out of there. The mortar round came right through the roof and landed right on his bunk and killed him. O'Keefe and Barbaro, they were in such bad shape. When the when the mortarian, the body baggers were there. Morticians, sergeant and his PFC, they were taking care of those who lost their lives. From where we used to line up in our company street there, and damaged all around. I mean, these guys were just. I got pictures someplace, but anyway. And I met, and the sergeant said, this PFC, you got to change this around. That belongs over here. Take what's there and put that one over there, and take that one over and put that one over here. And it started, so what? Who cares? Who's going to know the difference? They're gone. And he said something to me that was not very polite. And I said, he said, it may not make a difference to you, but it makes a difference to me. Now, why don't you go someplace else? They were not his exact words. And I said, Sergeant, I apologize. These are my friends also, too. These are my buddies. I tried getting these guys alive. I couldn't get them up. And their bodies were destroyed. Not just injured, they were destroyed. And here's this mortician, Army mortician, who cared. He cared enough to make sure his job was done right. Just like me working on that helicopter, I made sure when I did my job was done right. So after the mortar attack came our cleansing with Agent Orange. The C-123s came in and sprayed. They didn't spray us directly, but they sprayed, I'll say, an area from here to Camden in minutes. And we caught a lot of the overspray. And an area I'd say made 10 miles or more, maybe more, maybe 15 or 20. I'm not sure how much they sprayed. I don't know. But they sprayed, and 3 days, it was, we say, dead, down, and brown. The first day they were like hanging leaves. The second day, and the third day, there was nothing out there but brown. Everything was on the ground. And here were all these people, Vietnamese people living under all this stuff. There were streams out there, all these huts and all. We didn't know how much was out there. We had no idea. It was all jungle. And that was there. And the same thing too, when I fired that weapon there on November 1st, I know I did some heavy, I know that I will live with that till I die. I understand that. But there were also those there who were going to take us out also too. I just, that still breaks my heart. That some innocent people have to, because it's, So, now there's just Dennis Rafel and Joe Krutz and one new fellow was just getting coming in and getting everything all together, coming into a new training for shipment repair. And so on the 6th, we had a storm after the Agent Orange was sprayed. We had a storm, and we all got very sick. You could not stop drinking water if they sprayed the Agent Orange. We got like vertigo. You could not stop drinking, and you couldn't walk, like you were drunk. I never drank in my life. I mean, you had no balance. And we had these 5-gallon water jugs there. We had coolers there with some ice around sometimes to get a cold drink once in a while. But we kept filling up these 5-gallon jugs of water and dumping it there and just drain it. And then you're standing there and we had these little paper cups sometimes, and just keep drinking and drinking. And say, I can't stop drinking this, and we're trying to keep the compound. And Joe Crust and Dennis Rayford, like, we cleaned up a lot of stuff with I went over to the Air Force and borrowed a 10-wheeler dump truck. We were only using a 6-wheeler, a deuce amp, but we were using. We not got nowhere. And I said, Sarge, I said, the Air Force got an old dump truck over there. I know how to drive a truck, and like, I had a Vietnamese license also too. Go see what he says. So we saw the Air Force motor pool guy there. And Sarge, I said, you got a dump truck here. We could really use it. We're using deuce amp. We got such a mess. We're not getting nowhere. And we're working day and night using our hands. We didn't know shovels or wheel. We were just, And he said, look, he said, put your deuce amp there. Take that truck. It's an old truck. We don't use it much. It's been sitting there. It's fueled and ready to go. But he said, when you get the body up in the air, it's a problem getting it back down. I said, well, I worked on tractor trailers on a little give. I have an idea. I said, I have an idea what's going on there, okay? And so Joe Crutch, Dennis Rayford here, fell from Pennsylvania, from Ohio. They're both going there also too. And they're all going. And we started this dump truck up. I mean, we put a big load in it. I mean, because we had a lot of damage to our compound. It was demolished. I mean, really. My hut was hard. We had those shrapnel, but none other huts were like, destroyed. And so anyway, we would take this dump truck filled up and then go down to the back part of the base there, and we would go and dump it. As fast as we were dumping this stuff during the daytime there, the Vietnamese are coming out with sandals and bare feet and picking up everything we dump and taking it. They were so poor. They were so poor. And this is on the base. This is not, but they were still doing it on back part of the base here, So anyway, one of the first loads, and this big dump truck here, they're big old stuff from the 40s or 50s or so, Joe Crutch is working the hydraulics while I'm driving, and Dennis is riding shotgun with us also too, and got the body up and couldn't get the dump to come back down. And I said, okay, look, I said, I'm going to drive over here. There was a little decline where we come down, where we're dumping all this stuff, okay? I'm going to take over here. I'm going to back up, start backing up. And Joe, because it's hydraulic controlled, and it had to do with all the PTO and stuff, I said, when the body starts coming down, you got to work the handle there, gear there, to use the hydraulic to stop it so we don't break the frame or get damaging, And we learned how to do that. It was tricky, but we learned how to do it, And after a couple of trips, it seemed like it started working. Okay, we're doing a bit better. It would go up and, and not get stuck and not come back down. But and so we used that. Okay, and I don't know how many trips we made that. I don't know how many trips, and we were all loaded by hand. And we had like 3 days when I sleep. We just kept going and going and going and going. He gets on to eat and go back, and our hands were all, we were a mess. So then then we had this big storm come in, which was wonderful. It cleansed the area. Terrible storm. And on the 6th of November, the 5th or 6th, one of our Hueys got blown upside down. Now, we normally have them tied down, especially when the storm's coming, but somehow it got blown upside down. Now, it's upside down, not a whole lot of damage to it, but the tail wing was a single piece of aluminum. Not the newer ones where there's all ribs inside there and it's air in there, okay? And so the tail on it, it's upside down, and the top of the tail is like this. Well, I'm looking at it, well, that's not a problem because it was not a fracture bend. It was not a real sharp bend fracture. You got to take the whole thing off and replace the whole thing. And that's repaired. We can straighten it up and paint it, and we're good to go. But now the plane is still upside down. So we got an Army wrecker, rotating hydraulic wrecker, took the engine cowling off, and used some straps. And we said, we don't think we get enough lift to go and get this and try and pick it up and rotate it. And I don't know how we did it, but there was an operator and 3 other guys or 4 other guys. And as he's gradually picking up like an egg, we're walking the tail. It's a drag plane now with a drag wheel on the back there, a Cessna, okay? We're dragging, but the wheel is upside down, But we got a hold of the tail part there, and we're just gradually, without bending anything or breaking anything, and got up in the air and rotated it around, put the tail wheel back down, and set it down. This is a home run. I mean, when you're working these things day and night, I mean, this is a home run, okay? And now there were a couple of bull holes in it, though, a couple of bull holes in it, and one flap on the right hand side there, and the tail wing, man, man, we got that. We just nice and easy, just bring it back up, get it all plumb, okay, and patch some other holes in it, and worked it all day. And the avionics guys came in, they checked the radios working, they got the plane fueled up, ready for flight. Everything checked out. The inspector came in, checked all repair work was good, ready to go. Now we're fixing around 6:30 at nighttime, just before dusk, and Lieutenant Daniel Dawson comes in. Good pilot. I like this guy. He was good. Okay. He was. I think he was with fixed wing and helicopter both, if I recall. But I need this. I need to get up on my observation flight. This is 6th of November, 1964, around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Having a chow, I said, "Geez, I want to get in the air. I'm losing my light. I'm going down to the Bung Tao by the China Sea." I said, "Oh, Bung Tao, I got a buddy station down there. He's to ride carpool with us. He's from Lumberjack, Paradise. He's from, they got property in Canada, property in the United States. He's a tree topper." So he said, "Well, I need I'm waiting for my lieutenant observer." November the 1st, 1964. Here's a sharp lieutenant going out in the wrong direction on the runway. I think there is a connection. I really do believe that. I think there's a connection. The observer that paced off our mortar attack on the 1st of November, I think is maybe the one who is going to be his, I think, Chinese observer. I don't think it was I think it was a Chinese observer is what I think, lieutenant. Infantry, behind the scenes, okay? It's what I believe. I believe that to this day. And so anyway, he said, "I'm losing my light. I need to get up the air so do this flight for observation between here and Bung Tao tonight." I said, "Well, I still have my weapon because of the mortar attack and all. I have ammunition on. I have a double clip. You tape them together. They do a quick change if you have to. And my weapon, my M14, And I said, I can fly observer. He went to. I said, I need to get in the air. And he's going around. He's checking the plane out. This is a good pilot. I mean, we could miss something. Another set of eyes never hurt, And my fuel's nice and clean. All blah, blah, blah. So anyway, let me check with my sergeant. It was Vasquez. I think Vasquez on that night. So Sergeant Dawson needs somebody to go with an observer. He said, "Okay if I fly observer with him, He said, "Your weapon." I said, "I got my weapon in here. We're still carrying them yet, because of the mortar attack. We're prepared, okay?" And clip shades. "Okay, you can go." So I said, "Dawson, I can go. Let's go. I'm losing my light." And so put my rifle in there and assess that your best friends immediately. I mean, there is no room there. Yeah, he pulled them in, and there we go. And no joystick. We took the joysticks out because the observers were killing our pilots before. And there's no joystick right there. That's all gone. We went and bolted them, took them out. And so anyway, and when we're up in the air, we're going, And he says, "Keep a close eye." I said, "Dude, I know what to look for. Not my first pony ride. I know what to look for, I'm looking for flashes, And he says, "Gee," he said, "a lot of activity out here tonight." It was a nice night. I mean, visibility was good, but getting a little dim. And he said, "Look," he said, "I'm going to climb out of here. I'm going to go a little higher. I'm drawing too much attention. Keep a sharp eye for flash." I said, "I'm like this, man. You have to ask me to look for flash. I'm looking." And I'm searching back and forth, and we fly down to Bung Tao. So we land there, and he comes off the runway and on the taxi strip. "I'm going to pop you out here. I'll be right back." His last words, "I'll pop you out right here." Yeah, so it's 62 years now, and still no Dawson. Now the book there on his brother, now this is November 6, 1964. Big articles, Life magazine about his brother, and all kinds of stuff about Lieutenant Donald Dawson. That book right there. He was a captain of a fleet of, I think, 9 oil discovery vessels. And when they said, I kept checking and trying to find out, but nobody knew anything about Dawson and this one little airplane. Now I'm now back at my duty station back in the United States here, finish up my time till May 1st of 65 there, okay? And nobody knew anything about Dawson, and I just like forgotten. But then my daughter, a few months ago or so, found out, hey, Dad, look at this. You're still a missing crew member. Lieutenant Dawson's brother, Donald Dawson, was captured as a civilian when he went over to reclaim his brother's body. What a story that is. I could not put the book down until I finished reading. I knew so many people in that book. And he was a civilian. They caught him, they tortured him, they jailed him, they brutalized him. And all he said, I always got him with a body bag. All I want is my brother's body. I'm a civilian. They would not believe him. What the Chinese did that man is unbelievable. 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 And all the names the United States was not real cooperative with them, and what a story there. So now I get in the head shed, and the guy in the head shed here, what's going on out there? That's Lieutenant down Dawson. He's going to be right back. He just wants to go check something out down here. It was too late, and there's some activity down the road down here, way down here. Okay, okay. But he said he'll be back, and go back to Ben Hoa. The wrong problem. Okay. So after a while, it's dark. And he said, we're not having any radio contact with him. I said, well, he's going to come back for me. I mean, Oh, when I first got in, when I first walked in there, when they said, what's going on here out there, okay? I said, that's Lieutenant Dawson, and he just wants to go back and be right back for me, okay? But I said, while I'm here, I want to see if I can see my friend Paradise. He's from Maine or Vermont, somewhere where the border is in Canada and the United States. He's a lumberjack, but an airframe repairman. I said, all these guys in the base, he said, Paradise, yeah. We know exactly what you're talking about. He's an Army airframe repairman, yeah. He just slept here. His brother was just killed. He's escorting his brother's body back to Maine or Vermont, wherever the property is up there. I said, gee, he has 19 brothers and sisters. We used to carpool back and forth to Virginia. That's how I know him so well. Okay? His family pictures, Anyway, I said, well, and he said, stay here. He said, just stay here. We'll try and make contact with Dawson again. No contact. Now we're like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, no contact. I said, well, we just got done repairing the plane. The other guys, it was all clear, radio worked and everything. I said, but maybe something still went wrong with the communication with the radio or so, because it was upside down. And I said, but I need to get back to Ben Hoa. It's my duty station. Look, have a seat. We'll keep trying. And when we get him, we'll call you, And so the night goes on and no contact. Now, how do we get back? Well, at 6 o'clock, an Army caribou does a carrier run. We'll put you in the carrier run, and that goes to Tantanouk. But I said, I got to go to Ben Hoa. We'll get you back to Ben Hoa. We'll get you back. I'm upset, And one of the holes we just got repairing the aircraft was right under the seat. Because they wait till you fly over and then nail you, And so anyway, and also one by a little flap on the wing. I repaired. He's a nice job, lad. Anyway, the caribou will be here in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. So I slept there in a chair for on and off, No, nothing from Dawson, So here comes the caribou going beep beep and takes off. And I jump out of the seat. I said, yo, you told me I could get a ride at 6. I gotta get back to Ben Hoa. And he said, settle down. It just came out of maintenance. They just got done working on the wings. I do airframe repair, and he just got done working on the wings. And he's got to do 3 touch and goes before we load. Oh, well, that's good. I'm good with that. If the wings are falling, fall up here, Yeah. And so, and at the third one, you can load down and load it up and flew back to Tantanouk. No big deal. Nice. They did a good repair job. The wings are still on. But now I'm at Tantanouk. But I said, now I got to get to Ben Hoa. Well, we're not going to Ben Hoa. We're going to Long Bin or someplace else. They'll get you a ride there. You'll get there. I'm like, nobody say, hey, we break you, I'm, and then this Air Force Cessna pulls up, but the newer one, which did not have the solid wing, that had the one with ribs in it in the tail, a little newer plane, but still a drag wheel. Okay, so anyway, this guy pulls up. He said, "Are you black? But you're white." I, I said, "My name is Black." But I said, "I need to ride the Ben. Well, oh, yeah, they're all looking for it. Come on, hop in." No, this says that, these four, jump in, no joystick in the back on that one either. And so up we go. And the biggest thing is, and when he flew into Benoit, he flew right over the air. I said, "Dear Lord, I'm going to buy the farm right here." Across the river and across towards Benoit there, nobody shot at us. And then when in December of '64, and now there's only two of us doing all this work on the aircraft, on all these Hueys and the Cessna there. A brand new guy out of Fort Eustis. So I'm trying to teach him as much as I can, as fast as I can. I mean, and there's only two of us. But I didn't really realize that the Chinooks were going out, and the new crew for the Chinooks had to take over. I wasn't told that. I didn't know that. But I knew that the hangar was there for big birds, not toys. Okay, and so I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, I'm just trying. And Sergeant Lambert Vasquez, hey Black, he said, "You've been here too long. Everything going on here." He said, "You got kind of lost in the files there." Well, one thing, they had lost my files at one point. They sent me back as missing in action. The night of the mortar attack, I forgot about that. The night of the mortar attack, there, when I got back to base, Lambert said, "Where you been?" I said, "Been with the gunships, the bandits. We were down in Tonsanook." And he's hard, get that courier, we have you as missing. I said, "Well, there's 10 guys. You got 40 guys or so involved here. There's 4 guys on go pound, on every, yeah." And so they were already declared as missing in action. We come back with the 10 gunships and the crewmen and the gunners and the crew chiefs there. Okay. So anyway, and then our fuel truck driver, Black, his name was Elwood Black. He was black. So he had to put E on his name tag. I had to put J on mine, so they keep it straight. My records were mixed up, and they had me as also as injured and missing in action. And that was a mess there. And plus, everything's all over the place. I mean, they're it's like here. I mean, after a mortar attack, I mean, there's no, it takes a while to get stuff back in order. Like you see right here, right now. I mean, that's, that's what that's like. Okay, I'm usually organized with everything. I mean, I just between a mortar attack, He said, "Black," he said, "we need you." Well, the two of you guys now doing all this work, okay, and a newbie. He said, "If you'll stay until your replacements come in, I'll give you Spec 5 right now. I'll give you Spec 5 right now. I'll go 4 to 5." And he said, "If your replacement comes in tomorrow, I'll send you straight home. You'll be done. Your service time will be done. And you'll be out." And boy, I'll tell you, that was tempting. I'm getting married the 15th of May, but I go home. Okay. And that was tempting. As Sarge, I said, "My grandmother at home is very ill. I didn't think she'd be alive. She is still alive. I'd like to see her. She's been with us all her life. She's a wonderful grandma." I said, "I'd like to see her." My mother and father had some needs also, too. I said, I could help the family there. I said, "I'm also getting married May the 15th. And I know my wife, I know this girl for like almost 10 years. Love of my life, Carol." He said, "Back," he said, "yes or no." He said, "You're here longer than you're allowed to be here. You're already into 14 months. You're on down 13 months. You're already over. I got to know right now, yes or no." He said, "If you want to come," he said, "I understand that. We can really use you. We need you." And I said, "Sarge, I would really like to go home." "All right, you're done. Get your stuff. You're going." And with that, I cleared base in about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not kidding you. I mean, and you said, we got to get you out of here. You can't be here that long. It's some kind of violation I did again. First of all, I save a whole bunch of millions of dollars worth of aircraft. That they can't talk about that. That's how one of the covers. You're here too long. You can't be here this long. And so and I'm like a tailspin, and I'm in a 3/4 truck going to Tonsanook. Okay. And the one guy with a lot of experience is, we're going to stay in Saigon tonight. We're not going to stay at Tonsanook. I already got all the knowledge. We're not leaving until tomorrow morning. We're going to nice place to stay tonight. So we got this place in Saigon there. He knew this guy knew all the ropes. He'd been in the Air Force, been in the Navy. He knew how to work all the ropes. I can't remember his name right now. And so we got this place, and what there were 4 or 5 mats on this nice place, nice soft mats, air conditioning. It smelled good. And we went to a French restaurant and got a French meal with a violinist walking around. My last thing, I'm dead tired. I've already sleeping, and And so anyway, next morning, Papa Zahn goes out and uncovers all his Citron oil, and we got a nice ride in this black Citron down to Tonsanook. And we get there, and early, it'd be like 6 o'clock in the morning or so. Papa's like, not much traffic. Got there, and they said, okay, you guys, and there's guys coming in, guys going out. I mean, and just, so now we're on the floor at the Tonsanook Airport, and no air conditioning, just on and hot, And Flying Tigers coming in, loading, they're going out. Pan Americans coming in, they're going out. I think Eastern, they were coming out. All these big 707 jets at that time, new jets, in and out, some were turboprops, with Flying Tiger, And then here we still are, and then we're airplanes. They come in 2 Air Force Mac planes, so they unloaded the stuff, but they were all material and stuff like that, They said, okay, guys, let's go. And we get out there, these Air Force cargo jobs, the sling seats are all out there, facing backwards, okay? The red sling seats, and that's our ride, going back.
41s, right?
35s or 41s where they were. These were the old jets back in the 60s, okay? I think there's one just like up here, McGuire at the circle up there, by the commissary up there. There's one just like I come home on, cargo job, little window, So anyway, we're on the plane, and now and this is like 11 o'clock in the morning, really hot, in the 80s. I mean, no air conditioning, And then we're waiting, and then they open up the big cargo, and they start loading litter cases they were waiting for. We had like 5 or 6 litter cases up down the front of the plane, and all their material, And then the plane then it goes up again, and still no air conditioning, and oh man, and now we're like noontime, 12 o'clock. We're then here about an hour and a half or so now. And our khakis, we're soaking wet. We are soaking wet. We're brown. And the planes start up once or twice, and they all shut up, and they start up again, And so finally they start the plane, and we take off. We think, whoa, we're flying backwards. Now I'm flying backwards, and this one wind about maybe, this a little bit up where I am right here, I end up in the air, just about, and we're off, and it freezes right up. We're up in the air, and it's frozen. And I don't know how long we flew, and then we know that we're going to land in Tachikawa, Japan. Little problem with the airplane. Okay, so now it's dark out. We went from like 110 degrees, 120 degrees. I mean, now we're dried out though, and our food was C-rations. They're throwing C-rations down the aisle, and we're swapping around. I'll swap you your fruit for I'll go with the peanut butter crackers. Whatever. Anyway, and so now it's dark, and I don't know what time it is. Midnight, 9, 10 o'clock, I don't know. Tachikawa, Japan, wherever that is. And so we land, and now we're sitting, and the engines are running. And the guys say, Black, can you see out the window there? I said, no, but it's starting to thaw out, though. He said, it must be warm. And so then, and we're seeing the engines are still running. I said, there's a traffic light out here. We might be on a highway. There's a red, yellow, and green traffic light out here. And we sat there maybe 15 minutes to a half hour. I'm not sure. And so I said, and then they're saying, come on. I think it's, and it keeps changing colors, you know? And then so finally it goes green. And we start taxiing. Now, Dave, we must have taxied for 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Now, I might be wrong, but we taxied for a while. But the thing was, they had to find a place to put us and the aircraft to be serviced. It's not your Texaco station, you know. So anyway, and we're not near the hangars or near anything. I mean, we're way out, you know. And now it's still dark. And this guy, Chinese guy, comes out, or Japanese guy, whatever, in this old blue, like a Navy or Air Force bus or so, those on the smaller ones, like 20 passengers or so. And he's got this great big hat and Eskimo outfit on. No heat. We're in khakis. And we're getting off this end. They got the litter cases off and got them, which is good. I mean, go take care of them, guys. So, and then, okay, now, if you're going to take anything, you take one thing, you take everything. Other than that, we're going to be here maybe for a day. Okay. Well, and this one fellow there who's been in the Air Force and all this stuff, you know, we're going to be here for at least 3 days. I'll tell you right now. They are not going to fix this airplane. The crew responsible for this airplane is in McGuire Air Force Base, New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. But that's where the crew is. And that crew takes care of this airplane regardless of wherever it is. And with the parts. The parts were in McGuire Air Force Base and we're touching going to Japan. Okay, so I couldn't make this up if I wanted to. You know, I couldn't really, you know. So anyway, and so they drive us for distance and they put us up these old Quonset huts, old steel Quonset huts. And I mean, and because we were so used to warmth, they cranked the heat up, I guess, 90 degrees, but it was so dusty in there and so dry. We're used to 100% humidity, you know, and choking and coughing, you know. But they're trying to put like 100 guys or maybe 50 guys in that plane. We had a plane full of guys. And so they did. And so a couple of these wise guys who in the Air Force, all that experience, like, hey, we've been here before. This is not that far from Tokyo. We're going to the bullet. We're going to go to Tokyo for a day or two. These guys, they got the train. A train to the 120 miles, 30 miles an hour. They went to Tokyo for a day and a half or so, and they came back. Okay, the plane, and every 6 hours we had to report, or every 8 hours we report. No, it's not ready yet. No, it's not ready yet. You know, because they had to fly halfway around the world. So we still got to fly back home yet. We finally get back to the States. Take all back to the States. Okay. No problem. Plane brand people, okay. Then San Diego. Then in Travis Air Force Base. Now in Tachikawa, or either Tachikawa or Travis, I forget which one. No, it's Tachikawa. This one guy with all the experience is black. Come on, he said, where are you going to? In States, it's New Jersey. He said, I'm going to Colorado or someplace else. He said, go off the plane here. Go buy a ticket. Get a real cheap ticket here. Go back by your personal conveyance. It'll give you 10 more days or 5 more days of time to be home. I've not been home for a year and a half or whatever, you know. And so I bought this cheap ticket. It was cheap. I mean, I didn't have much money, but I could get an airplane at San Diego Airport straight through to Philadelphia. I thought, great. I'm going to go on a commercial with stewards and everything else rather than this commercial, this military plane. You know? And so we did. And so when I got back to Travis, I said, I'm going on personal conveyance. Just on personal conveyance. And go off the plane and get your baggage and stuff, you know. So I did it now. And Sergeant told us there, do not go out in military clothing. Change here into civilian clothes. Do not go outside in military clothing. You're not going to be treated nicely. So we did. But the only thing I had was military shoes and my duffel bag. All right, went to my duffel bag and my able bag. Stepped out there by the San Francisco airport there, going into our flight there. They spit all over us. They hollered obscenities at it. They were absolutely brutal. I mean, the few of us that were there, only a few of us there, because most of the other guys were going different directions, okay? But we'd like to kill them. I mean, we would like to really, we were really, I mean, how dare you? Our buddies just died, and these scumballs out there, really freaks of nature. What they looked like, and they're, and the spitting on us was the worst part. I have never gotten to stay yet. I mean, it was horrible. And so we get in the hangar, into the terminal there, and, you're a mess now, got cleaned up. And I'm coming back either Eastern or United, okay? I get on the airplane. I'm not very many, maybe 10, 20 people on this big 707 jet going to Philadelphia, okay? And they start the engines up, and they shut the engines off. I am not going to get them alive. They kill me in Vietnam, they're going to kill me in the United States. I'm not kidding you. I mean, and so, okay, then here comes the avionics guy with a little lunch bag up there to go and get things. And all right, now they got the motor running again. We're pretty good. And they close the back door, and they shut the engines down again. And here comes the avionics back up the cockpit with his little baggie. And come on, buddy, that's just fix the first. I know it. And the pilot comes on to, we were going to take this aircraft out of service. Okay, now I'm in San Francisco Airport in California, and so I go to the gate there. Well, there won't be another plane for 8 hours to Philadelphia or something like that, I said, I got family all waiting in Philadelphia. I said, I know, I'm Philadelphia on a direct free flight. She says, well, there is the opposite airline, either United, the opposite of Eastern, United, there's one leaving in about half an hour, If you get down there, that one's but it's got to stop at Chicago. But it's going to Philadelphia. That would get you there closer to your time, I'll go for it. So, I mean, man, I get down there, and I'm like one of the last guys coming on the airplane here, and on the airplane, the engine started up, and there was only 7 people on that airplane. I mean, very few people on it. And so off we go. Oh, man, this is really, man, and we're talking to each other, and we were just going home. It was wonderful, Where you went to eat? What were you doing? And so then the plane starts slowing down. And then we see now it's snowing outside. And you see the snow coming by. And as you look around, you see there's a plane over here, there's a plane over there. I think, dear Lord, I hope these guys got there. There's plane, red lights flash all over the place. And when we're just now idling. And he says, the cop comes on, and he said, there's a blizzard here in Chicago. And they were without power. And all these new arms, all the planes that are at the unloading docks cannot be moved. There is no hydraulics or anything. They are shut down. There is no power. And he said, and the planes on the ground there, we are going to land. We are fine. We're just waiting our turn to land. They're finding places where to put us. And so, and we served there maybe a good hour. I mean, and this plane's idled down. I'm saying, man, I have to get enough fuel in these tanks there for doing this, And he kept coming down a little forward down, and see fewer planes and now, and finally land. And here's this long line of airplanes waiting to unload. All right, so fine, we get in but you can't go to the terminal. Everything's manual. All the old loading things, you can't, so. And the stewardess says, I'm talking to the stewardess, and she said, there's another plane over there. So that plane is going to Philadelphia now. She said, are you able to, she said, the only thing we have are the maintenance stands. I said, I work on the aircraft. I have no problem with maintenance stands. She said, well, if you can get over that plane, she said, that's going to Philadelphia now. All right, because they were going to be here for hours yet. My family's still waiting in Philadelphia. They're waiting there, So I go over and and the snow was deep. I mean, you go over there, and on the aircraft, And so I'm in the aircraft, and the pilot says, well, we're going to be here for a few minutes. I'm calling for a de-icing before I take off. Good pilot. I'm on board. Good job. I like this guy, He's a Dawson. And so, so he takes, and they come out and they de-ice the plane good. He said, we're good to go. We go out, and now there's a line waiting to take off. And we're not lined for maybe another half hour, 45 minutes. And so, and the pilot, being a Dawson, he said, I'm pulling aside here and calling for another de-icing before I take off. He said, this might be, he said, they're prepared for this. This might be another 15 or 20 minutes. We're going to do this right here before I take off. And it's really, they squirt the whole plate. The windows get all like the car wash, get the whole washed off right here, And he said, now, and we're not going to lose our place in line. He said, we are ready to go. And he said, our turn is coming up now. He said, that was not wasted time. And so on the road, and off we cook. And then Philadelphia, I didn't Philadelphia like 4 o'clock in the morning. And Philadelphia was all shut down. And like the little dim lights on, my family was still waiting there for me. Home run. Got to see my grandma, my mom and dad, my wife, kid, my brothers and sisters, everybody was there,
That's great.
Nice welcome home, yeah. That's my story. I know that's a lot there, Dave. I mean, but it's so, I can't change it. It is what it is.
Yeah.